Police officers are trained to expect the unexpected, to handle any situation with composure and professionalism. But some calls defy all training, pushing the limits of what a person can comprehend. Nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared the officers who responded to a quiet suburban street for what they were about to discover inside an ordinary-looking garage. What started as a completely routine welfare check, something they do every single day, would soon unravel into one of the most disturbing and unforgettable cases investigators had ever encountered. The kind of case that sticks with you, that haunts your thoughts long after the crime scene tape is taken down. It all began with a simple act of neighborly concern. Days had passed, maybe even a week, without anyone seeing the homeowner. The house, usually a picture of suburban normalcy, had gone dark. No lights flickered on at night, no car pulled into the driveway, and the mail was piling up. It was an unsettling stillness that just didn't feel right. Finally, a neighbor decided enough was enough and dialed the authorities. When officers arrived on the scene, their initial thoughts were straightforward. They were expecting to find someone who had taken an unannounced trip, or perhaps an elderly person who had suffered a medical emergency and couldn't call for help. It was a standard welfare check, a common call in their line of duty. But the moment their boots hit the pavement and they started walking up the driveway, a palpable sense of unease began to creep in. The silence was too heavy, the atmosphere too still. Something was fundamentally wrong here, and their instincts were screaming it. The officers approached the front door, their knocks echoing unanswered into the quiet house. They called out, announcing their presence, but only silence responded. They made their way around the property, checking windows and the back door, but everything was locked up tight. The backyard was just as still, with a forgotten lawn chair and a perfectly manicured, but now lonely-looking garden. Then, their attention was drawn to the garage. The large metal door wasn't fully closed. It was just slightly ajar, maybe a few inches off the ground, creating a dark, foreboding gap. It was an invitation and a warning all at once. One officer cautiously knelt down, his hand steady as he aimed his flashlight into the sliver of darkness. The beam cut through the gloom, sweeping across dusty boxes and forgotten tools. And then it landed on something that made his blood run cold. His partner saw the change in his expression, the immediate tensing of his body. This was no longer a welfare check. This was a potential crime scene. With their hearts pounding, they made the decision to enter, prying the door up just enough to slip under. They stepped into the garage, and the air immediately changed. It was thick, heavy, and carried a scent that was deeply unsettling and completely out of place. It's a smell that, once experienced, is never forgotten. The flashlight beams danced across the space, revealing a chaotic scene hidden from the outside world. This wasn't just a messy garage, it was something else entirely. Later, crime scene technicians would place dozens of yellow evidence markers on the concrete floor, each one signifying an object that had no business being in a suburban home. Detectives who had seen it all would later describe the scene in hushed tones, calling it something straight out of a horror movie. Behind those unassuming garage walls, a discovery was made that was so profoundly shocking, it would send waves of disbelief and terror through the entire community and leave even the most seasoned officers utterly speechless, struggling to process what they had just witnessed. Within minutes, the quiet street was anything but. The house was immediately sealed off with bright yellow crime scene tape, a stark and brutal contrast to the peaceful homes surrounding it. Neighbors who had been peeking from behind their curtains now gathered on their lawns in stunned silence, their faces a mixture of confusion and horror. More squad cars arrived, their flashing red and blue lights painting the neighborhood in an eerie, pulsating glow. Investigators in white suits began their grim work, a methodical and painstaking process that would last through the night and into the next day. News crews, alerted by the massive police presence, swarmed the area, their cameras and microphones aimed at the house that was now the center of a terrifying mystery. The discovery in that garage didn't just trigger a police investigation. It triggered a community-wide crisis of belief. It raised horrifying questions. How could something so dark, so sinister, happen here? How could it remain hidden in plain sight, right under their noses, for so long? As the investigation deepened, the grim details began to leak out, first in whispers and then in shocking headlines. Investigators worked tirelessly, piecing together the fragmented evidence found within the garage and the house. Each new clue painted a darker and more disturbing picture of what had transpired behind that closed garage door. The evidence eventually led to an arrest, and the charges filed were so stunning, so beyond the pale, that the public struggled to comprehend them. When the case finally went to court, the full, unvarnished truth was laid bare in official documents and harrowing testimony. Prosecutors meticulously built their case, revealing a story more twisted and tragic than anyone could have imagined, while the legal system delivered its verdict and justice was served. For the community, the scars remained. Many argued that the discovery in that garage was a wound that would never fully heal, a permanent stain on their sense of safety and a haunting reminder of the secrets their quiet neighborhood held. This case remains one of the most chilling and unforgettable welfare checks ever recorded. It serves as a stark and terrifying reminder that behind the ordinary facades of the homes we see every day, behind the closed doors and drawn curtains, a reality can exist that is far beyond our darkest imaginations. The secrets hidden within the most mundane of places can be the most extraordinary and horrifying of all. What the officers uncovered in that garage continues to spark debate, disbelief, and a deep sense of unease to this day. It makes you wonder what you truly know about the world around you. So I'll leave you with this question. If you were that officer, standing in front of that slightly open garage door, peering into the darkness, and you saw the first sign that something was terribly wrong, what would you have done? Thanks for watching. If you found this story as compelling as we did, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more true stories that will make you question everything. Stay safe out there.